All right, welcome everyone to the January ZBA meeting. I'll take the attendance of the board members. Kathy Conroy.
Here.
Mark Palazzi.
Here.
Katie McLaren. Katie McLaren, are you here?
She's muted.
All right.
Here, sorry.
That's okay. Thanks, Katie. John Normile. John Normile, are you here tonight? Maybe he'll tune in later. Jack McCann.
He was here a minute ago.
Hi, Jack.
How is everybody?
Good. So I only have John Normile absent, but perhaps he'll tune in later. So 4 members present at the moment.
Okay, so are we ready to start with the adoption of the meeting minutes from the December 1st meeting? Do we have a motion?
Motion to adopt the minutes.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay, so the minutes are adopted. On to new business. PLZBA 2021-0077. Cemetery Road and Gurley Avenue. The plan development, area variances. For a minimum lot area, 5.17 acres are required, 5.007 are proposed. And a minimum lot width at the front building line, 1,800 feet required, 1,123, well, 1,124 probably proposed. Keystone Homes Incorporated is proposing to construct the 90 units into 3 4-story buildings, 30 units in each building. I think that's sufficient for our purposes tonight, right? The applicant is represented by Nicholas Costa, PE of Advanced Engineering and Land Surveying, PLLC. So, Mr. Costa, you're present, I see.
Yes, good evening.
Would you like to
Chairwoman?
tell us what you want to do?
Yes, so this is a
Only as-
project.
Excuse me, only in regards to the 2 area variances that you want.
That's fine. I'll keep it brief, Chairwoman. So this is a project that's located at the corner of Cemetery Road and Gurley Avenue. It's been in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals previously, and it's also been in front of the Planning Board a couple different times. What we're looking for tonight is 2 area variances. One area variance is with regards to the area. As you mentioned, the area of the parcel is 5.007. With 90 apartments, it would require an area of 5.17. So we're looking for the reduction to the 5.0 as an area variance. And our second request for an area variance is with regards to frontage. The parcel is located on the corner of Gurley Avenue and Cemetery Road, and it has 1,126 lineal feet of frontage, and it requires 1,800 lineal feet of frontage. I do want to point out that this applicant is proposing to keep the road private. If the road was to be conveyed to the city and made public, it would have sufficient frontage. So that's in summary what we're requesting, Chairwoman.
Okay, could you tell us, please, why you can't live within the lot area that is appropriate or permissible? Why do you need more?
Well, like I
Or
mentioned,
less,
with regards to the frontage, we could easily resolve that by dedicating the road to the city, making it a city road, and that would give us the 1,800 lineal feet. The other request is to have an additional apartment on each one of the buildings, one per building, one new apartment per building, and basically. The site is allowed to have 87 apartments, and we're requesting 1 addition to each building, which would make it 90 apartments. And that's because the way that the apartments are laid out, it would have one floor that would have an odd number. Instead of 10 apartments, it would have to have nine apartments. It's a more efficient use of the building to have 10 apartments per floor.
Okay. So that rather makes sense. I had a question just went on my, and looking back over the planning commission minutes when this was first approved, you had originally requested 96 units.
That's correct.
And why did you bring it down to 90?
It was because we looked at it and we couldn't, it fit the 96 efficiently. Even trying to do 32 per building, and also we would get into parking requirements, additional parking requirements. So it was reduced to 90.
Okay. Does anybody else from the board have any questions for the applicant?
I do, Madam Chair.
Okay, Mark, go ahead.
Nick, you indicated it's 10 units per floor on a 4-story building.
Yes, the floor, the fourth floor is not a habitable space. It's a basement, which it's the reveal because of the hillside that these buildings are going to be constructed on. There's going to be an elevation difference between the front of the building, the parking area side, to the rear. So the rear drops, the elevation drops, and it reveals. So that space is going to be really used for storage. It's not habitable space.
What's the height of the building?
40 feet according to the site plan, Mark.
40. Thank you, Aaron.
Okay.
Katie, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mark.
earlier today we were, and this is, so I guess it's on topic. Earlier today we were provided additional renderings of the site,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
and it had additional parking spots in it that were different from the last time you were before here. Could
Yes,
you just explain what that is?
Yeah. So from the last time that we were back in May, I believe, or June, when we were in front of of your board, we also had a comment with regards to providing an area for a turnaround for fire vehicles, emergency vehicles. So we created that. We moved the buildings, shifted the buildings somewhat to create an area where the emergency vehicle can make their turnaround movement, and we created some additional parking spaces there.
So what's the total number of parking spaces now?
I think we have 125. I believe that we had a variance for 124 spaces. So we only gain one more space, but we did shift some of the parking around, and we created some areas to do some plantings, some green space, and also we created the dumpster pads.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Do we have anybody here to speak in favor of this proposal? Excuse me.
I just ask a question.
Surely.
So that the change that was made in order to make the turnaround for the emergency vehicles, did that affect, that didn't affect the frontage where you have the shortage?
No, that's correct. That's a private road, so none of the changes along that road would gain us any more distance. Our distance is limited to what we have along Gurley Avenue and along Cemetery Road.
Okay. Thank you.
That new parking area does create additional impervious surface though, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And we've taken that into account. The stormwater basin, has been expanded to manage that additional runoff.
Okay, anybody from the, anybody else other than board members who want to speak in favor of this proposal?
Kathy, before we get there, I just want to confirm, you're seeking a variance for density, but I was under the impression the density is 21 and a half units an acre.
Yes, that's correct, Aaron.
So at 5 acres, you're over 90. You're allowed to have 100 units, over 100 units.
Yeah, we would be allowed for a maximum units, we would be allowed 107.7, Aaron, that's correct. That would be the maximum density allowed in the P zone.
Okay. Oh, I see. We're talking about another way of calculating density, minimum
That's
lot
correct.
area. Understood.
That's correct.
Okay, anybody else to speak in favor of this proposal? I know there's a number of people who have indicated by email that they're in opposition. Is there anybody here to want to speak in opposition to this proposal?
Yes,
Okay, do you want to introduce yourself and tell us where you live and tell us what you're concerned?
hello.
Yes, can
Hi,
you hear me?
my name is, yes, I can. My name is
Okay.
Karen Casali. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Hi, I'm currently sitting outside City Hall because I didn't realize the meeting had changed to virtual, but
Oh.
I'm in my car with my husband. We live at 52 Lori Jean Place.
Uh-huh.
And we oppose the whole plan, due to this would be directly behind our house. We're very concerned about the slope of the hill, very concerned about the water, and more importantly, very concerned about the traffic. And
Okay, and I don't want to
They're
interrupt
seeking-
you, but, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt you, but all we're discussing tonight are the 2 area variances. Because all of this has
Okay.
been approved in the past, so to go over what's already been approved in the past is not a valuable use of your time or ours. Do you understand?
Okay.
I'm making myself clear. We're only talking about the 2 area variances for the front lot line and the entire lot area. So as far as the slope of the hill is concerned, I mean, I'm no less concerned than everybody else about the slope of the hill or the alleged slide that took place over the last week or whatever. But if you could just address the 2 things that we're dealing with tonight. This is a planned development area and they are within their rights to put planned development there.
okay, well, speaking about the 2 questions at hand, for the frontage and seeking relief for that, I mean, wouldn't the fact that the builder has to seek relief speak to the fact that there's not enough room on this parcel to build what they want to build?
Well, not really, because he just explained why and I don't know if you were here a little bit earlier when the applicant explained that the reason for the necessity of the front lot line was because it's a private road, and as such, they had to adjust their lot lines to meet the private road, which was something evidently, I believe, that your neighborhood wanted, rather than to have it be a city street. So that's one concern. Did you hear the applicant's?
I apologize, I did not. I was
Okay,
actually standing on the
Sure.
6th floor of Hadley
Right.
Plaza until I
Wondering where we
realized what
were.
was going on.
exactly.
Excuse me?
No, I said
Yeah.
wondering where we all were. So if you could just, all right, you've expressed your concerns, and what I would want to do is hear from anybody else who's in opposition and then have the
Okay.
applicant address your concerns. Is that okay with you?
That's fine, thank you.
Okay, all right. Does anybody else want to speak in opposition to this proposal?
I have a question with that. So the only thing you're,
Could you introduce yourself, please, for the
yes,
record?
my name is Angela Lupe. I live in Troy. I have friends and family that live in Diamond Ridge and Diamond Rock over near there. And I
Uh-huh.
have a very dear disabled veteran friend that lives right on that road there. But Are you only discussing the variant? Am I to understand that everything else has been like, is already set in stone? I'm kind of
Well, it's
confused.
already been discussed and approved. It was approved in the spring first of all, as I said, it's planned development and this is a planned development zone. So therefore, it is allowed. As to the
What about
amount,
the animals?
but this is a planned development zone. It would be the same thing as, and I read your email earlier today. And while I can be sympathetic to, and, I've seen my fair share of deer in Lansingburg that didn't used to come down this far. That same thing happened when Red Rock was put in and when the Bordale Estates were put in and any other development took place on that hill. So
Exactly. And
it
it's not
really
just
can't
that.
be.
I don't mean
Pardon?
to interrupt you, but like I'm a severely disabled Iraq vet and I have friends over that live there that are
Right.
severely disabled. And one of them's wife actually is dying of inoperable brain cancer right now.
Uh-huh.
And her house already has deficits because of the land with sinking sewers and all
But-
sorts of stuff that's right on there.
And
That the city can't even take care of that. So how is this area fit for zoning and fit to build on when the city can't even take care of the homeowner's land that's there
But
already?
it is a planned development area. It is a
But
planned
you-
development zone.
But
That
you
makes-
keep saying that.
That
Well,
It
I'm
makes-
sorry, but it is. There are certain, the city is divided into zones, and this is considered a planned development zone.
But as
And which
taxpayers,
means
we
that planned
have the
development, such
right,
as the Bordale Estates, are allowed to
as
be there. But
taxpayers,
wait a minute,
we
wait a minute, wait a
have
minute.
that legal right to say yay or nay on this. And apparently the
Excuse me,
taxpayers
but
had
the yay and nay
huge
took place
word.
in the spring. So now we're only addressing these two area variances. This
Okay.
project went before the planning commission in April and in May, and there was
Uh-huh.
no public comment. And then it came before the zoning board for parking in June. And now
Wow,
it's
but-
back before the zoning board for the,
Residents, so our
We-
taxes are gonna
Excuse
go
me, I'm
higher.
speaking-
We're
wait a
gonna pay
minute, wait a minute. I don't even know who's
zoning.
talking.
for animal control because the animals have no place to go.
Excuse
Bears
me,
coming.
but, excuse me. I don't even know who's speaking right now. It doesn't sound like Angie from your voice, so is it Karen? Who's speaking? Because I
No,
can't tell.
no.
That was my caregiver and my wife. It's Angie again.
Oh, okay, well,
this-
Angie, you're the only one that
This
can
is the
speak, so.
first we're hearing of it, so it obviously
Right.
wasn't well publicized, and
Well,
I'll
that's
step
an
away
issue.
now. I'll take it elsewhere. This is just
You're
an
gonna have to take-
atrocity, and
right.
you all
And you
should be
should take
ashamed
it
of
elsewhere.
yourself.
I'm not suggesting you shouldn't be concerned. I'm just saying, this is not the forum for it. The only things we are discussing are these two area variances. Everything else has already been decided. So I understand your frustration and your concern about the animals and your friends, et cetera, but this is not the forum for discussing that. So, I mean, not to give you a short answer, but this isn't it.
And
So
as-
if anybody else has any concerns about the two area variances we are discussing, we'll hear them. If not, we'll just move along. And we'll ask the developer, Karen, we will ask the developer to explain, to answer your question. Is there anybody else here who would like to speak in opposition to this proposal?
Yes, I would.
Okay, Tina, do you have a last
Sure.
name and where you live, please?
Sure. My name is Tina Reisdorf. I live at 49 Gurley Ave.
Okay, go ahead.
So I was on the website earlier today looking to see if new site plans had been uploaded so that we could take a look at them and have, to be able to make informed comments with regards to tonight's meeting. And obviously you guys have those and you're asking us to make comment and objections to something that we have not been able to see up until this point. I don't know when, because they weren't posted as of noontime or 1 o'clock when I looked, because obviously you didn't post that this meeting was going virtual as well until
Well,
after
we didn't
that.
know the meeting was going virtual ourselves until the end of
I
the
mean-
day when we decided we didn't want to sit elbow to elbow with people in an age of a pandemic.
Well, again, we had probably 10 people here in the lobby who weren't notified that this meeting was changed to virtual, but going
I
back
believe
to,
I believe everyone who had submitted an email whose name they had in opposition and in support for any of the projects was notified that we had gone virtual.
well, right, but I
yeah.
didn't have a chance to send an email today because I was actually working so that I
Okay.
can pay my taxes.
All right, well,
So
we
I
had
never got a
emails
chance.
sent to us
Could you
over the past month.
could you please stop interrupting? You have a
Well,
very,
I would
you-
stop
well-
interrupting if you would just let me say that at the end of the objections, we will have Dash explain to you why you didn't get to see the updated renderings. You said that was your concern, and I just want you to know that we'll have Dash, our planning person, explain to you why you didn't get to see them. Did you have
Thank
any
you,
other
Kathy.
concerns before we get that far?
Thank you, Kathy. Yes, so the original packet has been online via a hyperlink on the agenda since last week. The two new renderings that did come from the applicant this morning were not able to get onto that packet online just due to the uploading process of that, but the board members present today did receive that. Also, regarding the meeting going remote tonight, every individual that sent an email, I did reply to them, and I did hope certainly that those individuals and neighbors would kind of spread the word internally. We certainly can't reach every resident at every moment, but we did our best.
Okay, thanks, Dash. Tina, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Can I ask a question? My name is John Casale.
Uh-huh. Go ahead, John.
I guess you've been saying that this has already been approved. It's already been approved. They're just seeking the variance. But if I read the variance correctly, it says that they couldn't get approved because they asked for 90 units where they only could fit 87. So how could it be previously approved? I don't understand that.
Well,
We-
it-
The
Go ahead.
parking,
Pardon
we
me?
were, the zoning board was asked to approve the parking back in June, and that was approved. The rest of it was done by the planning commission. And because our charge is to look at the variances, that is the only thing we're able to address tonight. Anything else was done during the planning commission process. And I believe the developer just explained the reason for the 90 units instead of the 87. But in truth, we also just discussed that the acreage would actually allow for 107 units. In one of the ways is that the density is established. So they're actually coming in under. But again, because this land has been zoned as planned development, that is completely out of our hands and not anything that we are able to do about.
So
The
is
only-
a lot bigger than 5.007 acres?
A lot, I think, is 5.5, just over 5 acres.
Size of it.
So who came up with the 87.2 then? I mean,
Well, so
how could
I can
that be?
explain, yeah, so I can shed a little bit of light on this. Our code has a number of requirements for residential units in a planned development district. Those requirements, A through G, 3 of them relate to density. Okay. One of them is called minimum lot area, and the requirement is 2,500 square feet per unit. When you do the math that way, you come out to needing just over 5.1 acres of area to have 90 units. We then have E, maximum density, which is 21.5 units per acre. Another way of doing the same calculation that comes out to a different answer. Why that's in our zoning code, I can't explain, but that is the code. Then there is also the minimum lot. Then there is also the minimum lot width at building line, which is 20 feet a unit. 90 units times 20 feet, 1,800 feet. They've got, Nick, I don't know, where were you? 1,200, 1,300, something like that. Yeah.
1124 rounded
So those
up.
are all, those are three different ways of essentially calculating the same thing, which is the size of a lot. They meet the most basic of those, which is 21.5 units per acre. They do not meet the other two. As far as the history of this project goes, and again, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe originally apartments were approved on this site back in 2017, then again in 2019, and now in 2021 in slightly different iterations. One point it was 4 buildings, maybe then it was 2. Yeah, you know, they've conceived the project in a couple of different formats, but the project in its current format has received planning commission approval, final commission approval, and seeker approval, contingent on receiving variances from the ZBA. At the time, it was
But you just
understood
said that,
at the
Wait a minute,
time,
let Aaron finish,
at
please.
the time, it was understood that the only variance needed was for parking, which again, if the complaint is too much impervious area, providing less parking is one way of addressing that. During the final engineering review, our engineering consultant went through our code in finer detail and noticed that these other 2 variances are outstanding. That's why we're here this evening. It's really more of an administrative action to correct that.
Okay, John, did you want to say something? John Casale? No? Okay, does anybody else have anything, anybody else speaking in opposition?
I would like to try to finish what I was trying to say before I was cut off on a multiple occasions.
Go ahead.
So again, I was planning on attending in person this evening, so I didn't submit anything. There was probably 10 of us in the lobby waiting to, you know, to be here for this meeting tonight. And one person who was in the lobby with us got the email that the meeting had changed. So, you know, was hoping to come here tonight to get a copy of any site plans because they were not on the website. And now you're asking us, the people who are in opposition, to be able to make informed comments and stuff without having looked at what you're voting on tonight. And I don't think that that's fair. You've had an opportunity to look at what the new site plans are, but the people that are against this have not had that opportunity. And you are going to steamroll and vote just like you do every time when it comes to this. This plan from the beginning, has always had issues with this. And they are constantly asking for variances. And you guys constantly approve these variances blindly. Whether or not you've gone, walked at this site or whatever, but I understand that this is only about the variances and not the planning, but quite frankly, the planning department has dropped the ball on this, on notifying people from the very, very beginning. So people weren't notified of any of these meetings to be able to have opposition to it, with all of this stuff. But again, you're asking us who haven't seen this new plan to come up with why we are in opposition of this, and we don't even know what the plan looks like. So, personally, I think this should be tabled for a month and let the people who are sitting out in your parking lot because you can't be bothered to have a public meeting.
I beg your pardon.
And
I take issue with that. We are in the middle of a pandemic, which is blazing around the entire world. And I, for one, did not appreciate, I appreciated the fact that they chose to go virtual. So those of us who are giving of our time to be on this board are not sitting elbow to elbow with other people without 6-foot distancing. It was the responsible thing to do. I'm sorry that you weren't notified, and I'm also sorry that I am quite sure whether you had the updated renderings or not, you would still be in opposition to this. And if you have a problem with the Planning Commission, I suggest you go to the next Planning Commission meeting and take it up with them. But the way you are referring to us now is highly offensive also, Tina, even though you think I'm interrupting you. So unless you have something else you want to add without insulting us for not wanting to go down to City Hall. And by the way, might I say, we were told that this was going virtual. None of us requested it, but it was the mature, adult, safe, healthy thing to do. And I'm sorry if you're standing down there and you didn't get the email. Is there anybody else here to speak in opposition?
I'm Doug Duquette. We live on Lori Jean Place.
You live
Just-
on Lori
just-
Jean Place? Okay.
Yes, we do. Just concerned about, I mean, this isn't speaking to the variances with this, but I'm just concerned with the drainage. And just the slide that we had on part of our street is concerning. If the weather, climate is changing, things are supposed to be wetter. I'm just hoping that these people that the land has been reassessed since all of this has happened here. And I'm also concerned that they get variances at the snap of a fingers, and why bend over backwards for them? They seem to be able to do what they want. That's all.
Okay, I appreciate your concern. Number one, they don't get variances at the snap of a finger. They get variances after an intelligence look, as everyone does who comes before us. After we have an intelligent look at what the property is, and we all drive to where they are, the projects are, and we all look over what they are all about. I am 100% behind you when it comes to your concern about the slide down the hill. There's no question about that. We are talking about two variances for this project. The fact that there's a slide down the hill problem is another issue that is of grave concern, I would think, to everyone, and should be addressed. I'm not sure by whom, but certainly not by the zoning board. But I do appreciate your concern. I would have the same concern if I lived up there. Does anybody from the city, Aaron, or
Yeah,
someone?
I can
speak to
share.
that slide?
Sure, I can share a little bit of information about that. As I'm sure anyone who lives on Lori Jean or in the area is aware, approximately, I want to say it was about 2.5 months ago, we started to notice that the slope on the western side of Lori Jean, just uphill from the detention basin, was moving. That continued until the city was forced to take action. Over the last few weeks, we've been stabilizing that area, rebuilding the slope. That is not a concern that I have with this development that's currently being proposed at this location. The slopes in the area of this development are significantly less steep than the slope that failed. The slope that failed was a man-made slope and was not a natural slope. So there may have been some aspects of its construction that led to that. We haven't finished our investigation on that, but we have, with the development that's currently being proposed and in front of you guys this evening, they did go through a geotechnical engineering phase. Their reports were reviewed by our third-party engineer, and everybody has signed off on all of that review. So currently, slopes for this project are not of a concern to the engineers involved.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. I have a question. My name's Amanda, and I live at 36 right across from where the slope went down. And my question is, we live on top of clay. Now, the hill behind us where you're going to be building these buildings, that's also clay. So I'm just wondering, with the water problem, I mean, if I end up with water in my basement due to this, who's going to pay for this? The builder that's building this property?
Once again, and Aaron, maybe you want to address that, but we are here to only discuss these two variances. I appreciate the fact that all of you people who are in opposition
Hello?
Welcome back, everyone. We apologize for that technical issue. We'll explain it in just a moment once we have all the board members returning. We unfortunately don't have a Zoom Pro account re-upload, or I'm sorry, resubscribe for this new year. So that is an unfortunate technical challenge we'll deal with our IT department tomorrow as soon as possible.
Okay.
With the basic account, just a formality, we do have 40 minutes, unfortunately.
Right.
So we'll warn you next time if we approach the 40 minutes, so then everyone can be prepared to lose contact, and then we'll just restart the meeting. But it looks like most everyone has returned. We apologize again for this.
Okay, and Amanda, you're the one who's going to speak. As soon as Katie's back, I'm here. Okay, John Norma joined us, Mark's here.
Dash, can you confirm that we're recording again?
We are, I can see it.
Yeah, it says recording, and Jack McCann is here, so.
Thank you.
Amanda, you're up. You were,
I just spoke, but also I work in construction and I know Warren Fain and I know he's doing the emergency work across the street from me where the road is closed. And I just worried that there's no metal plates or anything that have been put in to stabilize that. That's what I really worry about. I don't think they're doing it the proper way, but.
okay, well, that doesn't have anything to do with our area variances. I appreciate your concern. I do. I sound like a hateful person, but
okay.
We are dealing with these two area variances at this zoning board meeting, and all of your other concerns could be 100% correct. I don't work in construction, but I do know that there has to be another forum to address them.
I was just gonna suggest that maybe when we're when we're done hearing opposition, maybe Mr. Costa could address some of those concerns, even though they are not, you know, they're not exactly what we're here for, but maybe he would address them, like the stormwater and things like that.
Okay, that sounds good. Anybody else to speak in opposition?
I would like to.
Okay, do we have a name?
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Young. I live on Red Rock Road.
Okay, go ahead, Elizabeth.
I just want to voice my concern, very similar to the ones here, about the area variance that is proposed. I don't understand how so much I don't know why so much is being needed. If they don't fit, they don't fit.
All right, but as you know, the acreage required is 5.17 acres and they have 5.007. So that's not exactly an overwhelming difference. And the minimum lot requirement is 1,800 square or 1,800 feet, and they have 1,124. So neither variance that they are requesting is overwhelming.
It is just concerning because of the density issue we already have.
I understand
So
all that.
more in would be concerning.
Okay. All right, 87.2 units are allowed, and they're going to put in 90 once again.
Even if it's not overwhelming, it's still additional and doesn't
All right.
sound right.
All right, thank you. Anybody else to speak in opposition?
Yes, I'm going to ask again that this be tabled for next month so that we
Wait
have
a
an opportunity.
minute. I got a Shirley, excuse me. I don't know who Galaxy S10 is, but Shirley up in the corner here is raising her hand. So we're going to go with Shirley.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yep, we can,
Okay.
Shirley. If you introduce yourself, please.
My name is Shirley Albright. I live at
Oh, right, you sent a
43.
letter or an email. Yep.
Yes, I did.
Used a lot of big words too, Shirley. I was impressed.
My purpose is not to impress anyone, but to get,
Like, wow, this
but to
woman's
get
smart.
some understanding about how, if I understand this correctly, the size of the construction site is actually the request is to make it smaller than what it was in the original proposal. Is that correct?
I'm so confused now. Nick, is this smaller than it was overall?
I think that you may be referring to the 96 units, down to the 90 units.
No, I'm referring to this variance that is changing the size of the entire site as well as the frontage.
No, those are the requested variances. The requested variances are.
But doesn't that actually make the entire footprint of the site smaller?
No, variances wouldn't change the size of the site. The site is the site. The question is how many units are allowed on the site, given the size it is. And our code has 3 different ways of calculating that. One of those ways this development meets, 2 of those ways it does not, by what I would call minor amounts here. We're talking about, again, a variance of, 3 units and then 500 feet of frontage?
Right, but even that reduction of footage creates a change in how things will be positioned on that site, I would imagine.
The site plan is the site plan that was approved by the Planning Commission. Nothing's changed since it was approved in June.
And these changes that you're requesting won't change any of that. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. These variances, if the applicant obtains them, would allow the site to be constructed as it was approved by the Planning Commission.
Okay, then why was a new site plan submitted to the zoning board today?
If I may clarify that, the site plan that were submitted this morning to Dash, those were renderings. Those were color renderings of the site plans that were originally submitted with the application back in December. So there are no changes to the site plan. It's just that they're colored. Dash, I don't know if you have those, but they're just color site plans. They're not change. There's no changes to those color drawings versus what was submitted with the application to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Okay, thank you for answering that.
And those are the ones that have been posted on the website. They've been there for about a month.
Dash, this is Andy Brick. Do you have the ability to share your screen to show the rendering that was provided this morning?
Yes, I'll pull that up right now.
Okay, well, he's pulling that up. Is there anybody else to speak in opposition?
Yes, I have. I'd like to.
Nice picture. Who are you?
I'm Jim Spear. I live at 62 Lori Jean Place.
Uh-huh. Okay,
And
go
that's
ahead.
that's me as a 4-year-old and my lovely mom.
I kind of had that idea. Okay, go ahead.
This is my concern. We're offering variances, and the frontage variance in particular is not minor. It's almost half. They only have half of what the requirement is. And it seems to me that these regulations, these rules that guide zoning are supposed to be followed and not constantly modified for this particular project. I understand, and we've had quite a few contacts. I've spoken to Mr. Costa, and we've had some contacts about these, and it has been, since I've lived in my home for 8 years, a constantly changing plan. But shouldn't we be following the rules instead of asking for variances to change them? And shouldn't these have been thought of prior to the development of this plan, rather than coming back and sort of asking for permission after? We, as a community in the Bordale, feel that it is too large for the parcel, and your own rules say that it is. without the proper frontage and without the square footage and there are too many units per. So shouldn't that have all been developed into the plan rather than asking for forgiveness after the plan has been developed?
Right,
That's just it
Yep.
seems logical to me that knowing
right.
what we were looking at and knowing what they were, that it should have been developed for that. And thank you for bringing these up, Dash, because I'm the person who kind of lives right behind the retention pond. So I'm right in front of the retention pond. So I'm obviously concerned about the size and scope of this project. That's it.
Well, thanks. Thanks, Mr. Spear.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anybody else want to speak in opposition?
I would like to.
Okay, could you give us your name, please, and where you
My
live?
name is Anthony Catricala. I live on Red Rock Road.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to voice that I definitely agree with Jim's point here, that these are our rules, these zoning, our laws, regulations, and not suggestions or recommendations to be negotiated after the fact. I think that if they don't line up with the rules in general, that it's on them to redesign to meet these zoning laws, than to ask after the fact that we negotiate them. I think that Jim has a very good point, and I just want to add another voice to that I absolutely agree.
Thank you very much, Mr. Catricala. Anybody else to speak in opposition? Okay, so Nick, would you like to address some of these points?
Sure. So I took some notes while the public was speaking with regards to the proposal for these variances. And generally, the one is with regards to the frontage. And that could be easily resolved by dedicating the road to the city. And we would have the necessary 1,800 square or 1,800 lineal feet of frontage. But we thought it was, and it was discussed at length previously, it was a benefit to have this as a private maintained road that would not use some of the resources required from the city. And just as a little history, to go back, and if somebody wanted to look at the tax map, this site is shown to have a public road and single family homes built on this parcel. So I just want to point that out, that's a consideration that already existed. And this does away with the burden of having the city to take on another roadway to maintain. And then with regards to the density, I think that Aaron pointed out that this site could be developed with a 21.5 units density. And we would come up with 107 units. So we're kind of, we're not 87, but we're not 107 either. So we're 90, and basically we're 90 because of efficiency with the buildings. The 10 units per floor is a more efficient plan than to have one of the floors with 9 units. There was a question with regards to stormwater, and I think Mr. Spear brought that up. This site will intercept the flow that currently goes from the site right into the backyards of everyone that lives along Laurie Jean Place. This was something that was looked at very closely throughout the history of this project, of this parcel being reviewed. So what we're doing is we're intercepting the flow and we're bringing it into a New York State DEC required stormwater management practice, and we'll slowly release it out into the storm system on Cemetery Road. So I believe that the units that are located along Laurie Jean Place will actually benefit from what they currently experience, and especially Mr. Spear. And I was at Mr. Spear's residence, and there's a lot of discharge that is in his backyard, and he's done a great job of diverting the stormwater away from his backyard. But I think that this would improve the situation. So I believe those are the main themes, questions that I recollect that I wrote down. If there are any other ones, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them.
Okay, does anybody from the board feel that there was anything else we had to address? I think that Mr. Costa did address the issue of the water. And we talked about the slide before down the side, and certainly the fact that they wouldn't need the variance, which would address part of Anthony's and Jim's concerns about why you don't have these things before. They wouldn't need the variance for the, if they left that a public road, for the minimum frontage. If they had left it a public road, but they made it a private road, which was more in line with what the neighbors up there, I believe, thought was a good idea. And that resulted in the need for the variance. Does anybody have anything else they would like to add?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, Bill Decker, 49 Laurie Jean Place.
Okay.
The screen shows the 3 buildings.
Mm-hmm.
It shows a change to the parking.
That's what the parking's already been was addressed with the last variance they got.
But not in this format. The format that's showing shows an additional parking area between the 2 buildings for the turnaround.
I think that Nick, didn't you address that before?
Kathy, it's Andy. Can I just clarify that you as the zoning board are not approving this rendering that's on the screen right now? You're approving the variance requests based upon the site plan. The applicant chose to submit this to you today, but this is not what you're approving.
Right.
You're approving the variances. They are required to develop the property based upon the site plan that was approved. So if there are any changes on this rendering that they submitted, that would require them going back to the planning commission for a revision to their site plan, should they require it. It has not, this rendering is not what you're approving tonight. You're approving the variances based upon the prior approved site plan.
Okay, thanks, Andy.
I do understand that. However, the site plan is different than the site plan that was approved.
But then that has to be taken up with the planning commission, as Andy just said. We're just discussing the 2 area variances.
I do understand, but earlier it was stated that the only change to the site plan that was submitted this morning
was the coloring.
The coloring. And that's not accurate. That's not accurate.
Well, then
That's accurate. What was submitted to the as a package to the Zoning Board of Appeals for the variances shows exactly what's shown on this rendering. I apologize that if that's, if that's a misunderstanding, but
Nick, my understanding, excuse me for interrupting, but
sure.
My understanding was there was no provision for a turnaround for fire engines and ambulances.
But that got nothing to do with these two variances, and I'm not suggesting that perhaps this isn't an issue, but that's a planning commission issue, because they're the ones who approved the site plan.
But
tonight, we're only
I-
we're not talking about this parking situation right now.
No, I understand that.
So when there's no,
But
reason to
excuse me
discuss
just
it.
1 second. My point is, when those of us that weren't able to see the plan prior to the meeting today, to know what he's asking for, we would be able to have said to you that this isn't what was submitted
but you
originally.
would have seen this original plan. The
Bill-
only thing
Bill-
they did here was color in the edges.
That's correct.
This is the plan you saw before. And as I said, if there is a concern about that, not that it isn't a legitimate concern, this is not the forum for it. That's all I'm saying. We are here
Okay.
to discuss these two area variances. If there's a concern with this, I would suggest you take it to the planning department tomorrow and let them determine whether or not it has to go back to the planning commission. But that is not what we are here to discuss tonight. Not that, and I don't mean to say, I'm sure everybody's saying she's very rude, but this is not what we are discussing
No,
tonight.
I do understand what you're saying.
So
My point is that earlier, one of the people said, maybe you should table this so that
No.
the
Not our area variances. Personally, I shouldn't say no. I'm only one vote. We can very well vote on the area variances that we're being asked to vote on. And if there's some other concern, it can be addressed at the planning department with Dash and Aaron, et cetera, and take it back to the planning commission if there's some concern with the site plan. We are only discussing these two area variances. Now, may I please, if there's no further concerns from the board, Nick has answered all of the questions that were addressed about the two area variances. May we please have a vote? A motion, I'm sorry, a motion.
First, we need a secret.
Why do I think we don't?
This one we do.
We do, okay.
So
Go ahead,
Madam,
Katie.
I would move that for ZBA 21-0077, that the board find this to be an unlisted action with sufficient information available in which to make a determination that the project is not expected to cause significant environmental impact.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion on the application?
Madam Chair, I would just like a point of order. I would recommend that these be voted on separately, as they are two separate area variances being requested.
Okay, go ahead. Who wants to make a motion? Anybody want to make a motion on the first one? Well, I'll make a motion. PLZBA 2021-0077. I make a motion that we approve the area variance for the minimum lot area of 5.17 acres required, 5.007 proposed. I make a motion that we approve that, as I just said. I don't believe that the variance that's requested is all of that much, and I believe that it will not substantially, or if at all, change the project. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second, Kathy.
Okay, John Normal is second. On the motion, Mark Palazzi.
I'd just like to say, in advance of this meeting, I reviewed each and every email that was submitted by every concerned resident in the area. And admittedly, I agree with a lot of the sentiment and concerns that you all raised. But you need to understand the job of the ZBA is to review use and area variances, interpret zoning codes and special use permits. Our job is not necessarily to support or oppose wholesale projects. And while we're on the topic, admittedly, I don't support this project. I live a third of the mile away, and I don't think it's good for the neighborhood. But with that said, in my role as a member of the ZBA, I need to evaluate these as criteria under the law and factors. And based on the factors that are part of an area variance application, this meets all of the factors. And for that reason, I'm voting yes.
Katie McLaren,
I couldn't have said that better myself, except that I don't live as close as you do. So I vote yes.
Jack McCann,
I couldn't agree more with Mark. I'm not in favor of this project, however, I vote yes.
John Normile,
I vote yes to approve.
and Kathy Conroy, I also vote yes to approve. Do we have a motion on the second area variance? Okay, I'll make that one too. I make a motion that we approve the area variance for the minimum lot width at the front building line. 1,800-foot frontage required, 1123.62 proposed. I make a motion that we approve this variance. I believe that once again, it is a minimum difference, and also, as the engineer for the project explained, this variance wouldn't have been needed if they had left the road a public road. Instead, they made it a private road, and that necessitated the difference in the frontage. This is a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Kathy.
Okay, John Normile seconds on the motion. Jack McCann,
I'll vote yes.
Katie McLaren,
On this one, I vote no.
Mark Palazzi,
Two of the factors to consider is whether or not the benefits sought can be achieved by some other feasible method, which the applicant has admitted is possible. And additionally, one of the factors is whether the variance requested is substantial. This is a substantial variance from what the code says. So for that reason, I'm voting no.
John Normile,
I vote yes to approve.
and Kathy Conroy, I vote yes to approve. So we have 3 to 2, right? Yeah, 3 to 2. So the variance passes. Okay. Next case,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you, Nick.
PLZBA 2021-0078, 443 Fifth Avenue. A zoning determination appeal. The applicants, Jeff and Melissa Jackson, wish to appeal the determination made by the City of Troy code enforcement officials that this facility classifies as a tavern and is instead a restaurant. The applicant present?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Okay, would you like to state your, introduce yourselves and tell us what you want to do?
Madam Chair, before we get started, it's Andy Brick. Could I suggest to the applicants, I know we spoke at the Planning Commission, I believe you were there, we had suggested you apply both ways, so you one-stop shopping at tonight's meeting.
Yes.
It's up to you how you present the applications. But what you may want to consider is making the request for the special use permit first. If you're granted the special use permit, then it doesn't matter what you're defined as, because you have the special use permit to operate as a tavern, and you would be able to operate as a restaurant by right. So it wouldn't matter.
Okay.
And it may save some time. And I would also point out, I don't know if you've had access to the staff report on these two items, but city planning staff has recommended approval of the special use permit, but they've recommended denial of the interpretation. So you might be better served making the application where the city staff supports it first, and it may make the other issue moot. Just a suggestion, totally up to you.
Sounds like a good one to me.
We'll agree.
That's fine.
Okay.
So
So do you want to
essentially,
tell us, so now we're going, excuse me just a minute.
ahead.
What we're asking for now is a special use permit and an area variance for the parking deficiency.
Mhm.
Okay, now you can go ahead.
Okay, so we're proposing opening a sports bar / restaurant. It's considered to be in a B2 zone. So we were informed that if we are deemed as a tavern, that we need a variance in order to operate as such in a B2. So we're asking for that in terms of, do you want me to stop at each one, or do you want me to go on to parking?
let's get the special use done first.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know that there's much else to say than that. Before we owned the property, I mean, we're not changing really the use of what it was prior to us. Before us, it was Badass Burrito, and before that, it was O'Brien Public House, which both also operated as, you know, bar/restaurant, is our understanding.
So what, is this you that, you, not you personally, but that had the unauthorized events there? Like, did you do that because you thought you could do it? Or you know what I mean? Like it was okay, or?
Well, it was a private event, but if you want to,
Okay, all right.
And we were not, like we stated before, we weren't, we didn't understand when we were on the table to get our CO, and then we were taken off. So it was a lot of confusion with regarding that. And, you know, we took fully responsibility for the mix up, and, you know, that's on us, but it was very much a mix up on, you know, the approval of the CO and getting.
I just didn't know if it was somebody else that was doing the unauthorized events.
No, it was a private event.
But it was you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was you. Okay.
and
And you already
instead
have the signs up in the window, or I mean, you already have changed the windows. The name of, I live up there. The
Oh, yeah.
name is already painted on the window.
Yep. So yeah, it was
So
was
you're good to
actually
go.
a full redesign because it was vacant for so long. When I believe Badass Burrito vacated the premises.
Right.
And you know, we redid all the decor, interior and exterior as well.
where really it started is that we were approved back in August of 2017 and kind of moved forward as such. Then with COVID and New York State Liquor Authority, everything kind of slowed down a lot more than what we thought it was going to.
And we owned a restaurant on 6th Ave as well. So it was kind of balancing two, you know, balance being at the same time, and then get hit with COVID, you know, kind of slow things down, especially with the liquor board.
So we thought we were good to go. We were on the schedule for the CO, and then a kind of
everything kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
Okay. All right. But I don't mean to hog the airwaves here, but I have a couple of questions. So
Go
the fact that I'm a chairman, I can go first. Sports bar.
Mhm.
Do you really need a DJ at a sports bar?
No, what it is, you know, we have 5 nights. I think people are making the relevancy on base what we've done one night, which is like maybe 5% of our business. If like I give example, I always use like McDonald's, I use Applebee's or so on. These establishments have private events. If you have your children, I have children at 4. We've had events at McDonald's and so on and so on. That is nothing wrong with that. Is that the nature of our business 24/7, 365? No, we had other events as well. We have a chef on premises. We had Wing Wednesday scheduled and also some things for the veterans. So is that a major part of our business? No, but if there's a opportunity, especially in this climate, but from a financial standpoint, to do a private event like others have done, especially sports bars in our area, speaking of one around the corner, I don't understand how that really is a problem with that.
Well, first of all, I'm not suggesting that's a problem. Second of all, if you're talking about 41, I don't know that they have any live DJs or live entertainment. I don't believe. I mean, I've been there a gazillion times.
Yes, ma'am, they do. We actually have the one of the promos here on our table.
Oh, that's an old picture.
That's an old picture.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that anymore, unfortunately. Well, fortunately, it doesn't.
Oh, you're probably talking about the event that they do for the Boys and Girls Club once a year.
Yeah, I don't know.
At 41.
Maybe.
Right.
But I mean,
Okay.
so
The other thing
essentially,
is,
oh, go ahead.
no, I was just going to suggest that 2 a.m. might be a tad late for me. And not for me personally to go, but for me to think, I don't know why you would have to have a sports bar restaurant open until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right, right. So the answer to that is, you know, once again, we're in a climate of hired help, right? So we have to go with our strong points when we have staff. My wife is a doctor full-time. We have a private practice full-time. So her and I will be mostly involved in the day-to-day operations. We have 4 children here. So that time of opening at 6 p.m. is kind of convenient for our lifestyle.
6 p.m. is great. I'm talking about the 2 a.m. when I'm trying to sleep 2 doors up and you've got live entertainment going.
Well, at the end of the day,
that's what I'm talking about.
Right, and I'm going to answer that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is this: we've had numerous people come out and hear there's no noise moderation, and if I, you know, and there's some of the people that's on today can kind of contribute to that. We've tested it. We have neighbors that we're really close with live across the street, 90-year-old women. The mother lives upstairs. So we always test the noise decimal coming out my establishment. When we did those private events, it was good because we were able to kind of test those, right? To see where the noise reduction, what we needed to do. There was never a noise complaint, not one day out of those 3 days, because you can't hear anything from the outside, what's going on inside, unless the doors are actually open. And that's based on from the neighbors who are across the street and next door to us directly. So
Okay.
they can confirm that, and they're here today for that.
All right, nope, that's fine. You answered my question.
Okay.
How many tables do you figure you're gonna have in there?
We have anywhere from 4 to 6 tables. We have bar seating. We have a bar behind. If you go back to the yeah, right. Okay, cool. So arrow you see right behind the bar. That's a standalone bar area. We have seating as well. You see that? Go to the right. You're to the left. Yep. No, to the right. Yes.
That's a counter.
That's a counter. So it's a bar counter. There's seating as well there currently as well. So we have, and then in the open area, we have tables as well on the upper level where we've had up to 6 tables in the area.
The upper level? As in
Upper area.
In the
Upper
well,
area.
yeah.
Right
in
in
the,
that
Oh, the
space
upper
right
area.
there.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Right
Okay.
there.
All right. Okay. All right. Anybody else from the board have any questions for this applicant? No? Anybody to speak in favor of this proposal?
I'd like to speak about the proposal. This question's really more for Andy.
All right, could you what's your name, please?
It's me, Kathy. It's Aaron.
Oh, Aaron. Well, see, that's because your face isn't on here, Aaron.
I know.
ever.
I apologize.
Okay, so how am I
yeah.
supposed to know it's you? We only met a couple months ago. Go
So
ahead.
anyway, I guess my comment is about the parking variance that's sought. Okay, so they are required, as any restaurant or bar or any commercial use in that area would need off-street parking. Obviously, this site does not have the ability to provide off-street parking, but we are not sure about the occupancy of the restaurant. I'm working on that with the code department. We're not sure if they're allowed to have an occupancy of 70 people.
We don't. We spoke to Dave Sharon directly, and he said it's 49 and under. So what we tabled when we had a meeting with him regarding the parking is 13 parking spaces.
Perfect.
So
Then that was where I was going. Was that
Okay.
I think
Yeah,
we have
13.
to do the variance for parking needs to be based on the occupancy that's allowed, not necessarily the occupancy that's on this plan.
Correct. Yep. It's 49 and under. And Aaron, to speak on that, I'm glad you brought it up. There's five parking spaces right in front of our establishment. I took video on numerous nights and days. There's 5. There's 3 across, directly across. So if you right, so it's 5 here. Right, right. There we go.
Yep.
So right, it's 5. We measured it out. Now go across behind. Keep turning. Yep. So in front. There you go. No. Go back right.
To the other side of the street.
Other side of the street, directly across.
This one,
Sorry
yeah, right here.
about that. Right. So there is 2 right there in front of Miss Edge family's what is that? The handicap parking. There's 3 there. Now you have a full what is it? A car dealership around the corner to the right. It's on 11th and 5th. 111th and 5th. Now, if you look in front on that side alone, there's 7 parking spaces in the L. There, we measured that as well. Yep. So, no, go back.
All right, we get the drift.
Okay. So we're not affecting anyone in a lot of these homes. If you look at the aerial view, they have behind the home parking. And I talked with several of the residents, and a lot of them park behind their homes and not on the street.
Okay, so does anybody want to tell us what the parking deficiency would be, or is that for a later date for the amount to be determined?
Yeah, so Kathy, the parking deficiency based on an occupancy of 49 would be 13. They're required to have 13 off-street parking spaces. They are not providing any, so the variance would be for 13 spaces.
Right.
And Aaron, it's Andy. How do you get to the 13, other than that's what Dave said, which is fine with me. I'm just wondering how he did the math.
So it's based on the seats. You need one space for every 4 seats, I believe, or something, or once for every 3 seats. I'd have to check what the math was on it, but that was the math. Give me a 2 seconds here. I'll check.
Okay, because I'm looking at the code and I'm seeing 1 1/4 per 2 seats for tavern.
I was doing it based on restaurant.
Yeah, that's when we talked with Dave. I think he was saying also one, or based on restaurant. I think it was 1 per 2 seats.
No, the variance. Okay, so then the variance, it doesn't really change anything other than the number.
Right.
Correct.
But yes, if they're going for a special use permit for a tavern use, then they would have to go for the parking variance for the tavern required amount of parking, which would then be
31 1/4.
31 1/4, so 32 spaces.
Correct.
Okay. So I guess one of my questions that I have is what, in terms of the establishments that were there prior to us, because the operation is the same.
And the occupancy would be the same. The size of the building hasn't changed.
Right,
The amount of people you can put in there
Hasn't
is
changed.
the same as it's always been. And
Yes.
there's been many businesses there, and
Yes.
the board recognizes that.
Yes.
Right. I'm sure they got the variances before too.
I would suspect so,
They haven't been
yeah.
there in a while. Huh? What? The other, the old public house and the Badass Burritos would have had to have the same variance. And
Yes,
they probably
ma'am.
got it
Yes, ma'am.
back then. And so,
Right, nothing's changed, Kathy. It's
Right, so
They
nothing's
didn't have
changed
parking then, they
because
don't have parking now. You're right.
Exactly. That's right. That's my point. That's not anything new to need the area variance. Does anybody from the board have any questions or concerns you want to bring up?
I just had
Okay, go ahead, Katie.
I was just thinking that in the days of Uber, realistically,
Right.
That's true too.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. Right.
Good point. Is there anybody here to speak in favor of this proposal?
Absolutely.
Okay. Who are you?
I'm Frank Maben. I'm the director of the North Central Community and Solidarity Group. Been doing that for the last 7 years. I've worked fervently and with great discipline and with with great success with District 1. Anything north of Hoosick Street, being District 2 and District 1, Kim Ash McPherson, Jim Gully, we know them well, have a great relationship with them. So our thing with that was we knew coming into this that the Jacksons, they owned and operated a restaurant there, like they said, on Fifth Avenue, which was right across the street from what was the old school one. I go back. I'm 56 years in this town with 9 years days in the military. But so that was my time away. And we noticed that the Empire Lounge and the Jacksons, they did an amazing thing. Only thing is that the COVID.
Okay, did we lose him?
He got muted accidentally, I think.
Before then.
Okay, there you go.
We've now
Okay, go ahead,
spoken.
Frank.
Was what would be the impact and of course accountability. That's what we do as North Central Community and Solidarity Group. What's the impact and accountability? Well, the impact is going to be great.
Okay,
That's
all right.
a great impact.
Go ahead. You keep muting yourself, I think.
We
You're
have-
hitting a button that keeps muting you.
I'm hitting something that's muting me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is. Can you hear me now?
Yep, we can hear you now, so don't touch anything else and just tell us, you think that this is a good addition to the neighborhood?
Oh, we know for a fact. We know for
Okay.
a fact because we've taken the pulse of the people down in that area. We know why. Why is it going to be that? Because it's also going to
Okay.
bring diversity and it's going to bring security. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yep,
All
we
right.
can
So,
hear you.
and we can assure that. We can certainly assure that it's going to bring security, it's gonna bring diversity, it's gonna bring a good thing. This is a good idea. We've taken the pulse of the people down there.
Okay.
And we've met very little. In fact, we've met no real resistance at all. I mean,
Okay.
from Tony, who owns the pizzeria there, and everybody that owns. So,
Yep.
I mean, we're on board. We think that this certainly should
Okay.
happen, and it's going to happen all for the right reasons.
Okay, great. Thanks, Frank. Anybody else to speak in favor? Anybody to speak in opposition? Okay, if not, does anybody from the board have anything they'd like to add, or should we just go right for the vote? Okay, if nobody has anything to add. Pardon me?
We're discussing the special use permit
Yes,
first.
yes.
And
'cause
then
we're
the
not
area
going for
variance?
The appeal, if it isn't necessary. They get the
Secret
special
first,
use
John.
permit.
Right, the
That's the end
secret
of it.
first. But I'm sorry, I was talking about in terms of discussion. Sorry.
This is.
You can talk
type
about
2C.
whatever you could talk about the discussion, but as Andy suggested, if they get the special use permit, then they won't have to appeal the decision of the city that it's a bar and not a restaurant.
But it would be a special use permit to be a tavern or a special use permit to be a restaurant?
It would be a special use permit to be a tavern. No special use permit is required for a restaurant.
Okay.
And the difference between the two definitions basically is in a tavern, the sale of alcohol is your predominant sales and food is accessory. And in a restaurant, food is the predominant sales, alcohol is an accessory but allowed. That's the fundamental difference.
Okay. Got it, John?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's certainly-
This is a secret, so there's no.
So it says no action required. Right? By the seeker, type 2?
Secret, the special use permit requires a secret determination. The parking variance would not.
Oh, okay, all right, go ahead. Go ahead, Katie. We need a type.
So.
We need the secret for the special use.
What is the
permit.
type then?
It would be an unlisted action with a special use permit.
Unlisted action.
Madam Chair, for PLZBA 2021-0078, in regards to the special use permit, I'd ask the board to find this proposal to be an unlisted action with sufficient information available upon which to make a determination that the project is not expected to cause significant environmental impact.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, on the motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. Okay, now do we have a motion on the application for the special use permit?
Madam Chair, I would make for PLZBA 2021-0078, I would make a positive motion to approve the special use permit. I do not believe this would cause any detriment to the neighborhood or the character of the neighborhood. It is not, it is a, I guess it's a unique situation where it's not a self-created hardship. So for that reason, positive proof.
Okay. And do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, and on the motion, which is not, does not include the area variance, am I right? Dash, that has to be done separately, Andy?
Correct, yes.
Yeah, okay.
This is just a special use permit
Special use
to
permit.
allow a tavern at the location.
Right, okay. All right, so on the motion, Jack McCann,
I vote yes to approve.
John Normile,
I vote yes to approve.
Mark Palazzi,
Yes to approve.
Kathy Conroy, yes to approve, Katie McLaren.
Yes to approve.
Okay, so you have your special use permit, and now we need the area variance for the parking deficiency amount to be determined. Do we have a motion on that?
Well, we did say 32 spots, Right.
I think
Correct.
it's-
32 would be required. None on-site is proposed, but there is on-street parking available.
Madam Chair, with respect to PLZBA 2021-0078, I would make a motion to approve the area variance as it relates to parking. I feel it meets all the criteria for the variance in this particular case. I don't think it'll have an undesirable change on the neighborhood or character of the neighborhood. I don't think there's another feasible method to achieve it. I don't believe it's a substantial variance. I don't believe it'll have any adverse impact on the neighborhood. And I don't believe this was a self-created issue. So for those reasons, I would make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and on the motion, Katie McLaren,
Yes, to approve.
John Normile,
I vote yes to approve.
Jack McCann,
I vote yes to approve.
Kathy Conroy, yes to approve, Mark Palazzi.
Yes, to approve.
Okay, so good luck to you.
So hold on a minute, Kathy, it's Andy.
Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Jackson, would you be willing at this time to withdraw your appeal of the interpretation of the code enforcement officer?
You have to unmute.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Just wanted to confirm that you'd be willing to withdraw the other appeal that you had for the interpretation. It's moot at this point. I just wanted to put it on the record.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Mr. Brett.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good
Thank you,
luck.
guys.
Thank you all from North Central as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Frank.
Absolutely.
Okay, our
Thank you.
next case, PLZBA 2021-0079, 78 to 80 Havermans Avenue. An area variance for a minimum rear setback, maximum lot coverage, minimum green space, minimum lot area, minimum front setback, minimum side setbacks, off-street parking, residential rehabilitation. The applicant is Neil Apolone, proposes to renovate the existing 3-unit apartment building and add a 2-story wood-framed addition on the rear of the building. Okay, Neil, you're on. Introduce yourself, please. Can you unmute?
There, does that work?
That works.
All right, I'm Neil Pallone. I'm the owner and I'm an architect.
We won't hold that against you, Neil.
Thanks. You guys have been very patient and generous this evening. I'll try not to test you anymore.
No, that's all right. This to me is a real easy one, but go ahead.
That's what I think too, but that's just like my opinion. So we have an existing 3-unit building. There's 2 units on the ground floor, 1 unit on the second floor, and both the ground floor units are tiny. I think they measured out at less than 500 square feet each. On other projects, we've had good success by adding a small addition onto units like this that would add a bedroom, essentially, and turn what's a studio into a proper 1-bedroom. It does not change the unit count, but it changes the quality of the property or the building a lot. Like a lot of other properties in Troy, the lot is tiny and therefore has a lot of technical challenges meeting all of the bulk requirements, frankly. So we're requesting a variance, standing off the property line, but building pretty close to it. Coming off the property line just enough so we don't have to fire rate, which is about 3 feet. I think all the way around, most of the way around, a little more on the south side. And I live across the street.
Oh, well, that's helpful. Okay, does anybody have any questions for the applicant? I think the fact that you're not changing the units is helpful. It's not like you're trying to
Yeah.
cram, you're coming here and saying, I want to make 5 where there were 3. It's
Right.
It's just and let me tell you something else. I think we should all get extra money for finding the way down there.
Oh, did everyone stop by the site? That's
Oh my
usually
God, I did. If I didn't have navigation
So-
system in my car, I never would have found it. I've always heard
Yeah,
of
so-
Havermans Avenue, but I never knew that it was down there.
It's so my family at this point, so we just recently purchased 7880, but we've been working on 81, which is right across the street. We're working our way north, let's say. So we're,
Oh, wow,
it's a little,
cool.
and we have some empty land. So hopefully I don't know how long it's going to take me to get the money together, but we're hoping to build some new stuff across the street as well.
Nice. This is
Um,
much easier to see from the other side. Down on what, Spring, is it? Or I don't know what that is there.
Oh, Hill Street, if you're
What?
downhill,
Hill
is that what
Street,
you
Hill
mean?
Street. Yeah. Once I found out where the front of Haverman's was, and then I went back around and went to, and did the Hill Street side, it was much easier to see the area you're talking about, what you want to do.
Yeah, and
You
there's
know what I mean?
what also helps is the previous owner has a deck that's essentially built off the back, so you can kind
Right.
of get a sense of,
Exactly.
you know, how visually heavy it might be, which
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it really, it was much easier to see from down there, but I just found it fascinating that there would be a place down there that, you know, places all over. So I would think that all of these things that you need, all these variances that you need are required. I mean, they're necessary. It's not like you're, you know, trying to, as I said, trying to expand something and that therefore you need the variance. It's just a zoning code that maybe won't be quite like this in the next couple of months, but
Well, I don't,
in the meantime.
yeah, well, I'm sorry. Yeah, finish.
No,
what
go
you're saying.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this is maybe where I nerd out a little is I don't know how you're going to get a zoning code together that's gonna deal with all these 1800s lots. Like that's just,
Right.
you're gonna be stuck doing a case by case for, I don't know how else you do it unless somebody has an idea about how that's gonna change.
Yeah.
But they're also
but you're right.
unique
You're,
and-
you're looking at those buildings down there and, yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. If you want to keep the building, which you do, not tear it down, then,
Yep.
you're gonna have to get the variances. Is there anybody here to speak in favor of this proposal? Anybody to speak in opposition? Okay, Annabelle Turner, who are you? Now I gotta know this before we close out. Annabelle Turner? Just must be looking. I mean, I don't know. Anyway,
Kathy, I believe Annabelle was present for the first proposal, so I don't believe she is here tonight.
oh,
to
okay.
the
Oh,
Current
all right.
proposal.
Just didn't get turned off. All right. And nobody from the board has any questions for the applicant or anything they'd like to add?
I've got a question, Kath.
Okay, John?
How old is the building and was it laid out to be a 3-unit?
So I don't know exactly. It does appear on, I think it's a 1904 Sanborn. Maybe Steve or Dash would know what the insurance map around that time is. So it's pre whatever that night, it's either 1902 or 1904 Sanborn. It's on that map, but I can't prove anything earlier. I also, my opinion is that it was built as either workforce or management housing as a 2-family. There's a brick wall right up the middle. So I think it used to be 2-family and somebody at some point made it 1 unit. And then the second floor has holes punching through where I think used to be an exterior or a lot line division. I think that's also why the addresses show up or the lots show up as 78 and 80. So it would have been 2 lots at one point or 2 addresses anyway. But this is all speculation. I don't know for a fact. So yeah, is it a curiosity, the nature of your question or?
No, it's about certainly it wasn't self-created, the situation that it's in right now. It was pre-existing and it's kind of a symptom of an old property and the way the building was fit onto a small lot. That's all.
Yep. Great.
Okay, so if we have nothing further, do we have a motion? Do we have a secret? No,
No secret needed.
no secret required. Correct. Okay, so do we have a motion on the application?
Are we bulk these all together
I would
because
hope
they're
we
all,
could do them all together. Can we do them all together?
Yeah, if you
Yes,
ref,
Steve
if
shaking
you,
his
if
head
you
yes.
reference all of the area variances as set forth in the application materials, that should be comprehensive enough to catch them all.
Okay. Katie, you want to do it?
sure.
Is
I'll
that why
give
you
it
were asking? You asked the question, so now you can do it.
For PLZBA 2021-0079, I make a motion to approve the following area variances. The setbacks for the front, side, and rear. The lot area. The lot coverage. Which are the side and front setbacks. The off-street parking. And
The green space.
okay, the green space, the
Mhm.
unit. Did I get all of them?
I think you did. Yeah, I think you did. I was following you.
I'm looking at two different documents trying to
Wait.
make sure. Oh,
We,
okay.
we should ask the applicant, is the applicant comfortable with the list, or does he believe there's something else he needs?
No, I think every single bulk requirement except for height and frontage.
Okay.
So that's
I
lot
think you
area,
got
front setback, rear setback, side setback, lot coverage, green space, off-street parking.
Yes.
Yeah, she said all that.
Yeah, good.
So
good with
I think
that.
you're all set.
Yep.
What he said.
Yeah.
So this is a positive motion to approve. I do not believe any of them are substantial. I think it's a unique circumstance using the footprint that's already there and actually kind of covering they were existing non-conforming conditions anyway. So we're kind of bringing those all into the light. Would not cause any undesirable changes to the neighborhood. In fact, just the opposite. I also, just as a personal note, love old buildings and would much rather see it rehabbed than torn down. So yes, positive motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second Kathy.
Okay, and on the motion, Mark Palazzi,
Yes, to approve.
Jack McCann,
Yes, to approve.
Kathy Conroy, yes to approve, John Normile,
I vote yes to approve.
and Katie McLaren.
Yes, to approve.
Okay, so you have 5 approvals, 5 yeses, so you're good to go. Good luck.
Don't go anywhere.
Okay, Steve says we can't go anywhere. I
This will
think
be
you can
quick, and
probably
Neil,
go,
don't you
Neil,
go
but we
anywhere
can't
either.
leave.
Our new zoning variance, I believe, will take care of not needing variances for most of those useless variances you just approved.
Awesome. I can't wait to see how. I have no
Yeah.
idea what equation you're going to come up with, but I can't wait to see it.
So just since I've got everybody on board, I'm going to shoot for the last Wednesday of January at 6 p.m. Hold you guys to Wednesday. And I've still got to make
Okay,
sure everybody
good.
with the planning commission is on board to have a presentation on the new zoning ordinance. We will get you digital copies out before that and a quick summary. And my best way of describing the zoning ordinance is nothing's changed and everything's changed.
Okay.
Well, to be continued. We look
Yes.
forward to it.
Does the general public get a sneak peek, Steve?
Well, it'll be, when we publish it, we'll put it online and everybody can take a peek at it.
So
I just-
before that meeting that you're talking
Yeah.
about is public?
It's a public meeting.
Okay,
So it'll be a
cool.
presentation by River Street. and everything will be online before that. I just wanted to not have it out there too long before we had the first meeting.
Yeah, it's
Before all
kind
the-
of, yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Steve, I'm sorry, what was the date again?
Uh,
This Wednesday?
the
last
last Wednesday of January,
26th.
which, what is it?
26.
26th.
26?
Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay, great.
Okay, and
Okay,
you'll get a
thank
notice
you,
on that.
Steve. Do we
Thank
have
you,
a mo-
everybody.
You're
Awesome.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Have a
Do
good
we
night.
have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, all in
Okay.
favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Take care. Stay safe, healthy,
Night,
all
everybody.
that.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Good night.
Take care.